Pretty good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's uLaw webinar on going solo, starting a new legal business. Now, today's webinar is not accredited for any CPD hours. Our next week's webinar is accredited for 1.5 hours of CPD credits, and you could register for our upcoming webinars on info.uLawPractice.com/webinar. Okay, but today's webinar topic is going to be solo power starting a new legal business. It's going to talk about some of the key technologies, processes, systems that a solo entrepreneur or a solo business owner of a legal firm should consider or have as part of their consideration to help automate, improve business efficiencies, as well as deliver faster and more engaging results for their clients. Please do use the chat window at any time during this webinar so that we could have a candid conversation to ask specific questions that you may have regarding today's subject matter. This particular webinar is recorded and will be available to you on our YouTube channel as early as this weekend. Like every other uLaw webinar, today's webinar has a specific agenda. It's going to talk about what is the definition of an entrepreneur, what are some of the risks and rewards of being an entrepreneur, especially considering you're a solo practitioner, if you're just looking to graduate out of your college or university, or even if you're just for the first time starting to a new business. Maybe you worked in a law firm for a long time, and given the current situation, you believe and you certainly trust in your instinct to start a new business. Some of the important things to consider, some of the important tools that may come in handy to help you through this process. Right? That's our goal to share. So we spoke about risks, reward of being an entrepreneur. We'll talk about how you could quickly set up your business in the Canadian context, of course. And some of the tools and tips, as I mentioned earlier. It's going to be a bit of an engaging conversation webinar, so please do use the chat window at all times to ask specific questions that you may have. Of course, this is not the entire list of everything that you're probably going to need. This is a starting point of things that we have witnessed or seen that our clients benefit from for some of these tools that they currently use, some of the tools that we as a product integrate with, and hopefully you could do further research around these aspects of new business ownership. Of course, you can Google it, help expand the choices that you may have. Okay? So we start off with the fundamental question, why be an entrepreneur? We believe at uLaw, because we are entrepreneurial in our pursuit of this business ourselves, which we started several years back, and it's one of the biggest rewards, being an entrepreneur, is the ability for you to have the freedom to not only run your own business and to benefit from the outcomes of these benefits, with always the hopeful intention of it always being a positive outcome. But the biggest reward that we believe we get, if we ask our owners and everyone else in the company who has that entrepreneurial spirit, the biggest reward that we get is the freedom of making our own decisions and being able to reflect upon these decisions either ways, being able to recognize, understand, and act upon decisions that we make for our own businesses. Okay, so we're not having someone look over our shoulders at all times, but of course with freedom, like the Spider-Man caption, there is, of course, with more power comes more responsibility, but you certainly have the responsibility of an entrepreneur, especially if you're having a company that's growing and you have employees as part of your law firm, then you certainly have the responsibility of ensuring that your business is profitable, it's able to take care of the business needs as well as the needs of your employees, ensuring that you're able to sustain profitability, growth, and ensure that you're always available for your clients as well as your staff. When you're a solo practitioner and if it's all on yourself, of course, there's a bigger responsibility of how to make this business a success for yourself and for everyone else that's involved with you, right? So for us, one of the biggest takeaways was that freedom, and I'm sure there's a bit of that resonates with you as well. So making your own rules, owning your business, being your own boss, and doing work you really enjoy doing, right? Sometimes when we're in a situation where we're employed, many times, like anything else in life, we got to put food on the table. Sometimes we may be doing that 9-to-5 job or a more strenuous job that does not come naturally to us. It's really not bringing out the real true character of who we are as a professional, as an individual. Being a solo practitioner, especially in the legal business, really gives you the capability to use your brand to be the voice of who you are as an individual and the true characteristics of what you can bring to your clients. We've spoken about this briefly in our previous webinars that talks about the branding experience, the customer experience that you can offer, especially as a new growing law firm, right? So really enjoying what you do is another added business of being an entrepreneur, yet another reason why you should consider it if you can. Of course, creating greater wealth. There's always, as I mentioned, the hope of greener pastures. Sometimes there's always that belief in our ability to deliver more than the time that we have, doing more with less. And as being an entrepreneur, we are burning the midnight oil. And creating greater wealth is one of those aspects of being an entrepreneur that everyone works towards, creating your own wealth. And the good and the bad part of that is that there is no limit. You know, it extends as far as our dreams can extend. All businesses that have been successful has all started with a dream that was larger than the individual, starting with Disney to Nike to any large business that you may consider, right? So, of course, creating greater wealth is a true positive of why many of us are being pushed towards this pursuit. And helping our community. So, as a legal professional, yes, of course, there is the business aspect to what you bring to the table as a professional and the services that you render. But a very subliminal component of being a legal practitioner is the happiness and satisfaction that you may derive from being able to help a client in need, helping them understand their legal rights, helping them win a specific legal case that actually helps them move on in life. So there's a certain satisfaction and a component of that goes towards helping others in the community. There are many law firms, solo practitioners that do legal aid work, which of course helps people in need. It's a program offered by, of course, the individual jurisdictions, but of course it's left to the law firm to really understand if they want to go down that path or they want to stick to private clients. And we're starting to see a lot of law firms, for good and many different reasons, but most importantly the reason towards helping the community, take up legal aid work, and that is a great sign to see. So as a legal professional, you of course have this phenomenal opportunity to be an entrepreneur who can give back to the community. So it's a double whammy of the satisfaction that you get of doing what you do. Okay? All right. All that's fine and dandy, but what are some of the risks of being an entrepreneur? And this does not just go for the legal business. This is just a general excerpt of being a business owner, period. the biggest and the most in the room is really the potential aspect of failure in your business, which means that you're unable to sustain profitability in your business, being able to sustain running the business, and that's one of the biggest risks and one of the biggest fear factors of any entrepreneur. How long can I sustain this business? The dream, of course, is the ability to create that experience of freedom and self-sustain and growing wealth forever. But the risk factor, the fear factor is what happens if I fail? What happens to the business then? And what we want you to keep in mind is, yes, there is that certain risk, but if, like anything else in life, as long as we have a plan and you are completely responsible for that plan and you're doing everything that you can to make that plan work, you're going to help yourself mitigate that risk as much as you can. Okay, so being prepared for the worst case, as they say, is something that you probably should consider if you want to be an entrepreneur. Certainly consider unexpected obstacles. It's typically a smooth sailing on rough tides. So you certainly need to understand there are going to be curves and bends and a lot of obstacles that are going to be thrown your way when you least expect it. Okay? Financial instability or insecurity, whether you've taken a business loan to run your business, if it's your own personal savings to run or start your business, if you've got investment funds to run your business, whatever the initial seed money is that you've started the business with, there's always that component of insecurity of when does that money run out? How do I conserve that money as much as I can to give myself an elongated runway to run, sustain, and grow this business? Okay? Very important that you plan as part of that initial business plan that you create for yourself, and hopefully you are thinking of creating a business plan when you're starting solo entrepreneurial pursuits. The ability for you to keep and stay alive for the first 18 months to 2 years minimum, giving yourself that runway as much as you can, or at least planning for it. Most of the legal businesses that we see tend to fail, if at all they do, within the first 12 to 24 months. If they've found a way to sustain and grow, even if it's slow growth, as long as they've been able to take the beating up front, sustain the storm, after the 24 months, typically they're able to smooth sail after that. Okay? So ensuring that you protect yourself, your dream, your business, and plan for the first 12 to 24 months is very critical to, again, mitigate this definite risk of financial insecurity. Last but not the least, one of the highlights that we want to bring to you as a risk of being an entrepreneur is the long hours and effort that has to go in to start, sustain, and grow this new business. There are many different components that you may have not previously been exposed to, right from the legal aspects of starting a business, the different financial vehicles and institutions and accounts that you need to have to retain that business, especially in the legal business. You, of course, have learned this during your college and university days, the need for different accounts like trust, general accounts, the rules that govern based on the Bylaw 9 and the bookkeeping guidelines in your individual jurisdictions. You learn all of that, but to actually put it into real use, into real life, is a totally different beast. So really being prepared and plan for it, whether you talk to a fellow legal professional, friend, family member, or you attend webinars, conferences, virtual, of course, in today's day and context, or just learn it through your own experience of having been exposed to a law firm or a legal firm, whatever the situation may be. Planning upfront and knowing that you're going to be putting long hours and a lot of effort and a lot of learning in learning newer things to implement into this new business. Okay. So risks and rewards of being an entrepreneur. And of course, now we move on to the segment where we of course talk about, this is all great, we've kind of established the pros and cons, and maybe you've already made that decision or you're in the process of making that transition of being an entrepreneur or a solo practitioner. Now we talk about, now what? What do we do? What are some of the important considerations when we first get started? And again, you may be at different components or aspects of this journey. Depending on where you are, some of these components may actually make sense, some of them may have, or you've already made that decision. For example, the business structure. You may be sitting today already having decided that you're going solo. You are the 100% owner of your business. You take complete responsibility for the pros and cons of running that business, and you're fully responsible, and you take full advantage of what that has to offer. In some cases where it's an entrepreneurial pursuit, you may now be tying up with friends, colleagues to start a business or a law firm as a partnership. So one or many actually may join in, it's two or many rather, may join into this partnership, split the expenses, share the revenue or the profit that you make, or have your own percentage within the business depending on how much you bring to the table and how much of revenue you've generated. So there's many different ways that you can divvy up your partnership, right? That's another consideration when you're going as an entrepreneur in the legal business. And of course, deciding whether you want to incorporate and the kind of investments that you want to bring into this legal business. Are you getting external investments in capital money, venture capital money, whether it's angel or VC funding that comes in, right? In which case you're now looking for a much broader legal firm that can hopefully bring a lot more areas of practice to offer to the public or to businesses. So consider the business structure if you haven't already. If you have, that's fantastic. Make sure it's well documented and everyone in the party involved completely appreciates and understands the boundaries and the structure of the business. Setting up bank accounts, that's easy peasy. Everyone has shared this knowledge with you. Keep in mind, trust account, general account, business credit cards, as well as personal money. Those are the four major accounts that you may consider having. You may, in cases where you bring VC money, you may actually separate that out. You may not bring that money completely into your operating accounts. So you may have that as a capital account, and that's rare, but if it does happen, then that's what you do. But when you do set up your trust account, one of the recommendations that we have is being upfront with your business, with your bank rather, and being very clear in establishing the ground rule that they do not take out any bank or interest charges out of the trust account. Of course, many financial institutions in Canada will certainly appreciate and understand that, especially if you're running a legal business, but it does not hurt to remind them gently that they shouldn't be taking money out of your trust account so that it's left untouched. Time comes for reconciliation. That one extra bank charge does not add any distortion to the overall reconciliation process, okay? So just a little tip for you to keep in mind when you set up your bank account. Setting up credit cards, setting up online payment gateways. Now, some financial institutions in Canada, such as TD, for example, does offer you and your legal business the ability for you to take revenue in, or payments, let's put it that way, accept payments from your clients in various different ways. the very typical way that we've all paid and accepted is using machines, whether it's a debit machine or a credit card machine. But given today's day and context, especially in today's post-COVID world, where there's lesser in-person correspondence, we're considering a lot of virtual and online capabilities that your business can offer your clients, something that we also talk about in our branding, user, customer, and product experience webinar. So do check that out on our YouTube channel. We do talk in detail of how you can offer that enhanced user experience to your customers by offering, let's say, an online payment gateway integration. So you've got the business structure, you've got the bank account set up, all that's great. Then, of course, you look at infrastructure. This has changed as well. It's moved from a brick and mortar infrastructure that we're all used to, that evolved into co-working spaces. I'm sure we've heard of that. We have the likes of, Regus and others who offer you co-working spaces where you don't completely own or completely rent this brick and mortar space. You are able to rent it out on a need basis, whether it's a boardroom meeting, a client meeting. You can have this client come over to this small office space that you rent for that day, right? So we moved from ownership to rent on demand, and now post-COVID, we're in this world of a virtual infrastructure. The need for the phone system, the email, of course, all that continues to remain the same. We'll definitely talk about the phone system going virtual too. But yes, considering now the new age change that we've been presented with, the virtual infrastructure that you should consider. Talking about virtual, the first impression that you make in today's day and age in this digital world is your website. When you start up your business, of course, everyone recognizes this, whether it's reading a little advertisement on the street or whether you use digital marketplaces such as Fiverr or talk to a friend or a family member who does a website. It's important for you to consider having that digital presence that clearly articulates to your end audience what your firm is about, the services that you offer, making it easier for your clients to search and be able to do business with you through that website. Okay? And the next component is, of course, where it still seems to be not so demystified. It's still a mystery, and it's something that everyone's looking to work and get a handle on, which is the social presence and the social media marketing that's important to help augment that marketing message and get across to a much larger audience in a much smaller time duration about who your business is and what you can offer, and helping you generate more leads, more source of contacts, more clients. Okay, so marketing, lead generation, social presence are intertwined today, and we'll talk a little bit more about the tools that are available in our next slide that can help you. Practice management and legal accounting. And I want to talk about that hand in hand, because as a legal business, we believe that legal accounting is a must-have. It's going to stay. Whether you use a product, whether you use a process, manual or automated, the need for you to present legal accounting documents to both the Law Society, and of course, component of that accounting is also your business accounting, and that goes to the CRA. The need for accounting is important, it needs to be accounted for, and given the fact that as a new entrepreneur, it used to be the case where most certainly you can be sure of being audited within the first 12 to 18 months by the Law Society, ensuring that you're on the right path to maintain this regulated bookkeeping compliance that you as a legal professional are required to abide by. Now, the aspect of practice management comes in, which is really how easy is it for you as a user of these tools and processes to make that legal accounting work for you. So are you spending a lot of data entry effort? Are you able to access this on your phone? Do you need to write this down and re-enter it every time? Is this available to you on the cloud, or do you need to walk around with a machine that has this system? Are you using Excel sheets, Word documents? So the practice management aspect is really the world of data entry and all the bolt-ons that extend and surround the key capability of you as an owner to deliver results, but also stay compliant. So never let go of that aspect of having to stay compliant. Every business owner needs to be compliant with the CRA needs. You need to file your taxes. You need to tell the government what's happening with this legal entity that is your business. Okay? If you are a company that's starting to grow in a rapid manner and you really need help, then of course you are going to consider bookkeeping and accounting services, whether it's a chartered accountant who does your complete taxes, or if it's a bookkeeper that does your books and ensures that all your invoices have been generated on time, you're delivering all of the reconciliation documents on a monthly basis, capturing the general ledgers and journals, or trust ledgers and journals. Whether that's bookkeeping, accounting, or everything in between, that is something that you may want to consider as your business grows. Or if you don't have the appetite, but certainly have the money to spend to get that done. Okay? There's the component as the entrepreneur, as I mentioned. You have this wonderful opportunity to train and learn and implement the learning right away. So training and learning is an important component of setting up your business, whether it's learning like today. Hopefully you take something out of today's webinar, which is some of the tools that you could use to help you through this journey and process. Being part of CPDs that help you appreciate some of the nuances of this journey and the different aspects of running a business, especially a legal business. Okay? And the last component, which certainly should be right at the top, is setting up a business plan for growth. These are all the different techniques, tools, processes that are utilized by you, but the end goal, of course, would be how best can you use these along the path of success and growth. Things such as strategic conversations within yourself or your other team members saying, what are my strengths? Am I good at being meticulously disciplined with doing things fast, efficiently? Am I good at R&D? Am I good at litigation? What are the specific areas of practice that I personally feel that I can value add? Understanding the areas of practice based on your education, your experience, and your ambitions. Finding now the right social media presence to tell that story. Having the right website that resonates that story and with the audience that you're looking to serve. Whether that's criminal, family, LATB, small claims, whatever it may be. Using these tools and techniques, but truly to reflect who you are as an individual and the main reason of you being an entrepreneur. You're not going to put on your website saying, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to be successful and make a lot of money, and that's why I'm here. Right? The story is truly, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a legal entrepreneur that's helping to make a change in these areas of practice where I believe I bring my complete attention and my prudence and my skill set to deliver results. So part of that setting up your business is truly having a business plan, setting up metrics, and then measuring metrics. which is very critical. And that's why you need these tools that can help you deliver those metrics in an automated, timely manner so that you're not spending your time and effort in doing these, specific requirements that can otherwise be met through automation. Okay? Some of the tools to explore. We personally prefer the Canada.ca. It's a great website to start with, or even if you just Google in Small Business Canada, there are quite a few links and resources that the Canadian government provides you as a owner of a small business. The amount of nuances that they provide, they in fact even provide you with the ability to deliver business plans depending on the type of business that you're running. And they certainly do have law and legal business as one of those categories that you can look at. Okay, so just Google up small business, small legal business or law firm Canada, and you certainly have a lot of links and resources from the government of Canada themselves, which is phenomenal. And when you talk to financial institutions, whether that's credit unions or the top banks, they also offer you with small business owner manuals, tips, techniques, processes, must-dos, user guides, whatever you want to call it. They provide you with a bit of a documentation and a bit of a roadmap for success. They, of course, provide you with examples of previous successes, things for you to consider to avoid failures, things to keep in mind. As a business owner, they may not get into the legal components of it, but just as a business owner, things for you to keep in mind. For example, finding the right tools that can help you measure the expenses that you're making in a specific time period, staying on top of your expenses, staying on top of your accounts receivable, finding it easier to find email automation to send out emails to customers, especially if there's AR, and little things like that, right? So they definitely do provide you with tips and techniques. And we want to get more pragmatic in offering you some of these tips and tools to explore, and then we've kind of cut to the chase. We certainly appreciate that there's two major players in this techno world, if you will, today. And there's the G Suite, there's the Gmail, and you've got all of the different small, medium, large business tools that they offer, right from Gmail. They provide your own domain. Of course, some of them come at a cost. Some of them are free. So the G Suite is one end of the spectrum that provides you with apps, with tools, with your own email, with your own cloud storage. It provides you with its own, so in today's day and context, when you're looking for web conference tools, the G Suite provides you with its own set of these tools, whether it's Hangouts or the enhanced version of it, right? Then you, of course, have the other side of the world, which is the Microsoft world, which offers you the Office 365. As a business owner, you do have these two major considerations to keep in mind. But of course, you have other options. You could certainly go with other email addresses, such as a Yahoo email, but many times it's not considered as a business email when you have that. Many times it's, xyz at abclegal.ca, xyz at abclegal.com. So you certainly need to invest in a domain that creates your web presence and use that domain's web presence as part of your email address, right? Making it look more professional and seamless. So you, of course, have these two big options, but that is a starting point for you to consider, whether that's email or management of or editing of documents. And there's, of course, Adobe. So if you're going to be in the legal business, I'm sure you can appreciate there's a lot of documents that use the PDF format, whether that's quote forms, whether it's templatized documents, such as retainer letters. You can generate them in PDF so that anyone can access it, especially your client. You can send them a PDF. They can access it via email. They can access it through a cloud storage. They can access it on their phone. They can access it on their laptop, etc. So PDF is such a widely available document extension, if you will, that's easily accessible. So investing in the right Adobe tools, both free and paid, as per the needs of your business, is something that we highly recommend that you explore. So now you've got set up for business success. You've got your bank accounts. You may have a credit card to help you through these expenses. You've set up your email. You've gone one of these routes or specific choice. And then you look into the website as we discussed. There are many tools today compared to even a few years earlier. You have the likes of Wix and WordPress and many different themes of WordPress that allows you to generate these websites through just click of buttons. You do not need a web developer. You don't necessarily need that family or friend who can help you build these websites. We personally do use the WordPress as well as Wix to help build these websites for us. Wix does offer a variety of themes, including legal businesses or professional services, and then you can tailor it. What most of these websites are going to need when you build them is a certain color theme that resonates well with, let's say you have a logo or a letterhead that you're developing, right? So you've got a name for your business. It's always beneficial for you to consider a certain branding that goes with it, whether it's a logo, letterhead, or colors. So these websites resonate with such a thing. If you look at the uLaw branding guide, it's mostly black, red, and white. If you look at our website, it's similar. Look at our presentations, it's similar. So consider either building your own website or using the right tools, such as WordPress or Wix, to help build that website. Another added tip that we haven't seen before, but we're starting to see a lot of today in the legal business, is the introduction of chatbots. Now, you're seeing a lot of that in today's web presence. These chatbots, such as Intercom, which is a very big product tool out there that can quickly integrate with any site that you build. If you're using the Wix builder, building your websites, they do have the option of introducing chatbots. And of course, you do pay a certain price for these chatbots. And they almost look as your web personal assistant. So anyone who lands on your website is greeted with a certain quick chat. So let me quickly give you an example, right? Let me get out of the slide. So here's an example where there's a little chatbot. You can ask the chatbot any questions that you may have, right? How does the support work in uLaw, right? Whether it's an automated chatbot that can communicate with you in real time, or whether it's a chatbot that has individuals behind it, there are many different sophisticated levels, right? It really comes down to your availability as an entrepreneur and your readiness and preparedness to approach these things. This could be a quick and easy way for you to start communicating and collaborating with prospective clients. And if there are frequently asked questions, they used to be like a little section on your website. Not anymore. Frequently asked questions become typically in the format of these chatbots with pre-configured answers to questions. Okay? So for example, you could have these pre-configured specific answers coming from that site or from an individual that gives you immediate information. about pricing, anything else that you may ask. So chatbots are here to stay, and here's an answer that we've just received. We typically reply within a few minutes, and you've got instant gratification for a question that was asked just a minute back. Okay, so this is an easy way for you to not only provide immediate feedback, gives you a better way to collaborate with prospective users, and another newer intervention for customer engagement. And let me go back to my presentation. Okay. So we looked at websites for you to consider. Even if you currently have a website, do consider the use of chatbots. They're a quick and easy way to help that customer engagement. We look at, of course, your printing needs. I'm not sure how relevant that is anymore, but you could certainly have business cards or flyers that you may still want to use the old school way. They do have a certain small percentage of return, and you could use many online tools or small business options, right from Staples to other businesses that offer you the ability to print. We use Vistaprint, of course, to print our business cards as well as our flyers or any collaterals that we may have for our business. Email marketing is another big thing today, whether you use your very simple, straightforward tools such as MailChimp, something we appreciate and we really like, templatization, or needing sophisticated tools such as HubSpot, where HubSpot as a tool, it's definitely more expensive, but it's a business decision based on your specific firm's need. HubSpot as a tool can, of course, help automate emails based on different lifecycle statuses of your client. If it's a prospective client, you can send them a certain set of emails. You can send them a chain of emails. The first email coming day 1, second email coming day 5, or it could be trigger-based. If someone has visited your website, there's a certain, what they call as nurturing of the customer that can happen through these emails. Pick and choose something that's meaningful. You could even just Google email marketing, and there's quite a few tools that are presented to you. Again, you don't have to take all of this on day 1. It's a very incremental uptake based on your business current need. The phone, we spoke about that, whether you have a cell phone as your primary phone of correspondence, or if you have a typical phone system outside of your cell phone, or you may have both, calling it office and then mobile or cell. You do have the web-based voice over IP phones today, and it's been in business for a very, very long time. But now you have certain tools such as Corvum, C-O-R-V-U-M. That is it's a business that we at uLaw have just started to work with and looking to find ways to integrate. They are a web-based platform. They're a Canadian company based out of British Columbia, and they help legal professionals and lawyers be able to quickly record and track phone calls being made to their clients. uLaw, for example, allows you to quickly translate a phone conversation into a docket right out of your phone if you have the uLaw app. Tools such as Quorum go one step further by also recording and even transcribing the conversation if needed as part of that docket, right? So you have tools such as those. You certainly have the Vonage and RingCentrals that allow you to deliver voice messages right to your email. So if you're on another line and someone just gave you a call, they could quickly click 1, record a voice message, and that lands in your email. You're able to quickly respond back to them right away instead of having to wait for the end of the day to read your messages. Okay. I think I need to run through this real quick, but I will focus on social media marketing for a little bit. We typically talk about the major professional and personal spaces for social media marketing, starting with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the top 3, of course. LinkedIn also allows you the ability to collaborate and have partnerships with other law firms, especially if you're looking for referrals, if you're looking to pass client information. It gives you the ability to build those professional networking. Facebook and Twitter allows you now, as part of that branding experience, really amplify that marketing message to the larger audience. And of course, that all comes at a price. You could set up certain, and LinkedIn does the same. You can set up AdWords within Facebook. You can set up specific advertisements within Twitter. And then you have, the bigger Google as a way for you to advertise yourself. But if you look at specific social media platforms, you could take use of tools such as Buffer, you can Google this, or Sprout Social, that pretty much allows you to communicate across all these top social media platforms right from a single user interface. So if you're going to be offering, let's say, 30% discount on every landlord and tenant board matter, instead of having to log into LinkedIn separately, typing it, logging into your Facebook account separately, typing the same message, you can actually use a single product such as Buffer or Sprout Social, for example, or even Hootsuite, and then publish that one common message to all these social media platforms that you want to integrate with. Okay? We're starting to see a lot of law firms engage in social media conversations, advertisements, promotions, etc. From more of a, once again, a practical practice management, legal accounting perspective, we spoke about this earlier, you of course do have many payment gateway integrations such as Monaris, Pivotal, or NewWay, global payments that facilitate for you to accept payments. Interestingly enough, these payment gateways are also trust compliant. What that really means is now not only can you receive funds into your general account, you can now receive funds into your trust account, whether specifically retainers. So imagine the ability for you to accept, someone gives you a call, gets onto a Zoom call, you send them a retainer letter with a link that they click to make that payment. Doesn't get easier than that. And as soon as they made the payment, the entire trust amount gets deposited into your trust account. So the retainer, let's say of $3,000, directly gets deposited into your trust account. And of course, all these payment gateways do charge you a nominal fee, anywhere from 2 to 3%. So let's, get a 2.5% on that $3,000 retainer. That $75 is then taken out of your general account, leaving your trust untouched, keeping you compliant. So, and uLawPractice does integrate with most of these tools, by the way, making it easier, more seamless, same time compliant. Once again, post-COVID, the advocacy for cloud storage and cloud has increased. And if you are looking for solutions that help you store documents online, then you have the big boys, of course. Google has Google Drive. Microsoft has OneDrive. Box, there's Dropbox that was recently acquired by a larger company called Salesforce. So you have Dropbox as well as options for cloud storage as an example. Another new integration that we're starting to see is a huge benefit for law firms is the digital signature. So any document, especially the legal aspect of it, captures the need for it. And the fact that we've gone virtual today, you don't want to waste and spend time, again, as much as possible, wherever possible, right, to print, sign, scan, and send. Those 4 typical manual processes that you do. And the digital signature encompasses all of that. Either having an electronic signature that truly embeds a date, time, and place stamp, or whether you have a digital signature, which is just taking a copy or a digital copy of a physical sign, tools such as EchoSign, DocuSign, HelloSign allows you as a business to incorporate these digital/electronic signatures into many of your documents, whether that's Word, PDF, etc. Once again, tools for you to consider. And last but not the least, as I'm sure you can appreciate, in today's day and context, the need for these virtual meetings such as today, we're collaborating in this session thanks to this technology called Join Me. It's something that we use at uLaw all the time to deliver webinars, to use during support calls, for screen share, for marketing, for collaboration, and for many reasons. Legal firms today can actually use these tools to have that initial client intake conversation, ongoing discussions, even having the ability for you to have clients sign off on documents. If you're doing a real estate matter, you can have your clients use any of these tools, Zoom, WebEx, Join Me, Microsoft Teams, whatever it may be, to be able to sign online with your lawyer or your law firm legal professional on the other side, reviewing these documents. As you sign, you show to them on the Zoom meeting. It's pretty cool. So you can actually now replace that in-person meeting with these Zoom meetings, right? So that was a short list, if you will, of some of the tools that you certainly want to keep in mind as you engage and grow in your business. In all of this, of course, one of the most important components that's at the center of all of this is a system, whether it's automated or manual, that allows you to manage practice, but in a very compliant, specific way that keeps bookkeeping compliance and allows you to manage legal accounting. Because they, at the end of the day, provide business efficiencies, and tools especially provide automation, and specific legal accounting tools such as uLaw provide compliance. And to top it all, you have deep dive analytics in products such as uLaw, which is cloud-based, that gives you all the pieces of information that you need about your business to make informed business decisions at any stage. Going back to your business plan, going back to that essence of why you wanted to be an entrepreneur to begin with, right? So the top two reasons for efficiency and automation is why you would consider practice management, accounting, and deep dive analytics is why you should certainly consider a legal accounting software. And we at uLaw have helped combine all these four components into a single product. With a few more minutes, that is pretty much all we wanted to share in today's webinar. I know it was quick and easy at the end, but this was the main particular slide share that talks quite a few about the options that you have as a solo entrepreneur that helps you build efficiencies and automation through various life stages of that entrepreneurial pursuit. Okay? You can always email us or text us or even use our chatbot on our website to ask any questions that you may have with regards to the tools, links that you are unable to find on Google for some of these products, and we'll be more than happy to help you through that process. We also do offer our own 30-day trial. We've continued to retain that 30-day as a trial period at a minimum, because some of the law firms sometimes do take more than that. So we've kept that as a minimum, of course, to give you enough time to make a decision about whether uLawPractice is the right tool for you. And as part of the whole COVID process, we're offering all of our new clients the discounted prices. We already offer entrepreneurs the discounted price in our website. Do check us out on our pricing. And yeah, do take us up for a no obligation 30-day trial where we help you through this process and how you can benefit from the product. Okay? So I will open up the chat window at any time now for you to ask us any questions. Please feel free to ask any specific questions, of course, that you may have for today's webinar. Oh, thank you. Okay, one question is, how do you set up payments with the uLaw? We've done a webinar on that as well, but I'll see if I can quickly show you this. Of course, you would log in into your uLawPractice account. It's available to you on your settings. As simple as that. So we're not specifically tied to any of these tools. We, of course, have partnerships with these 4 or 5 different financial institutions that offer this online payment gateway. And what we've done is we've facilitated the flow of transaction in a very secured manner between uLaw, your firm, to that financial institution and back through uLaw. Okay, and we don't charge you for it, and it's absolutely free to do it through uLawPractice. It's as simple as using it on our settings, and we'll be more than happy to set this up as a separate demo if you like. And if you come into accounts, you have this option here called payment collection, and you of course have New Way or Pivotal, formerly called Pivotal, Monaris, TD, and Global Payments. And each of these businesses, once you set them up, they give you their own trust ID, whether they call it terminal or store ID, and their own password, either called a secret or HPP key. So enter that into uLaw, and it's available to you right away. So if you're accepting a retainer, if this is over the phone, you can manually enter that information. So when you go into new retainer, and let's say this is over the phone, even still virtual, and if you're accepting a $1,000 or $100 retainer, you can now use this payment collection option and just ask for your customer to provide that credit card information. Okay, and you can actually process it right away, right here. Okay, hope that helps. If not, you can still do it through the document. I think that was the next question. I'll take that as well. So if you generate, let's say, a retainer letter, you can decide as part of your settings to embed a link that is introduced into that retainer letter that your client can then review the document, but use that document to click on that link and to self-pay for that retainer. And the same thing applies for general account too. So hopefully that answered that question. Any more questions, please? So here's that link that we're talking about. Here's the digital signature we were talking about. The client can actually click on it, and it takes them to, once again, a payment gateway where they can actually enter the information. Okay, how do I upload my logo or letterhead? Good question. We've had this for a while. So you basically, it's a self-help. Go in here under help and you have the ability for you to upload your logo or your letterhead. We even give you the actual size of it. We also offer all our clients a free service that if you do send us your logo and letterhead, however they may be, it's a free charge where we upload it for you on your behalf. And while I'm on that topic, here's how you can personalize your signature. You can upload that signature, and we provided the boundaries around what that image should look like. Okay. There's one more question around document management. Again, on our settings, this time it's under Matter, and it's under Matter Documents. By default, this is set to none, so we request that you choose the specific cloud storage that you're working with. And once you've made that connection, you would click Save. Once that connection has been made, then you would come under your individual file or matter with the uLaw, and you would find this tab called Documents. This allows you to connect with the appropriate Gmail account. Let me connect with my business account. And what uLaw does is that we automatically create a file or a folder with this file name, and you can right away start to use that folder to upload all documents related to that file into that folder. All right, so I'll take this as the last question. The question is, what is the name of the webinar where we talk about the customer experience? The name of the webinar, and I'll put this on the chat window, is BX, CX, UX, and PX. That is the name of that. You can just search up our YouTube channel and just search up BX, and you would right away have that. And in fact, it's a 1-hour CPD credit for you if you view that entire 1 hour. Yeah, it's professionalism credits. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, it is just past 3, and I appreciate and thank you for your time today. Our next webinar for next week does talk about everything practice management, which is accredited for CPD credits of professionalism. So I look forward to speaking with you next week, and at all times, utilize our chat window or our email to correspond with us and ask us any questions that you may have. Thank you, everyone. Have yourself a fantastic weekend ahead.